We begin now the transmission, online transmission. We welcome all that are here. The transmission is online. We welcome all that are connecting to this transmission, especially on Facebook, on WhatsApp. Many people are connecting now from different parts of the world. All are welcomed. Once we are through with the connections, we will start the direct transmission, so please get ready. Last Sunday, we had, we all celebrated the third Sunday for the poor. Pope Francis invited us 3 years ago to celebrate during the last Sunday, ordinary Sunday, to celebrate the International Day of the Poor. It goes to show that the hope of the poor will always be valid. Pope Francis teaches us that, as the psalmist says, that faith is experienced in the hearts of the poor, especially demonstrating hope. Therefore, all of us who are consecrated to the Lord, especially who belong to the same charism of St. Vincent de Paul that he left to us, that the founder left to us, St. Vincent de Paul left to us, we have to carry to the poor hope and joy. Therefore, as we continue the same service of formation and sharing, we therefore meet here to do some reflection, or especially on this World Day for the Poor. We meet here in this in the General House of the Sisters of Charity. We thank them for allowing us to use these facilities in this house. We will have 2 people to help us in this reflection. From the US, we have Father Gregory Semenyuk from the Congregation of the Mission. He's the Director of ESO, Vincentian Solidarity Office. We will also have Sister Maria Caruso, who is the Director of Ture of the Congregation of Charity. What's VSO? This is the Vincentian Solidarity Office. It's a program of service of the General Curia. In 2002, this service started. January 2002, this service started, and its aim is to help the congregation go out to serve the poor. It's a special service. It serves as a bridge between agencies of development and the service of the poor and the development of the poor. Father Gregorius Milnuk will talk more about this. Now we are joined with Father Gregory Semenuch. Now we listen to him. Thank you so much.
Good morning to all the listeners who are joining this web conference concerning the important theme of the World Day of the Poor. And I would like to speak of a permanent initiative on the part of the Congregation of the Mission of Lazarus or the Intentions in order to assist our priest conquerors in the developing world. As you see on the first slide of my presentation, that the name of this initiative or office is called the Vincentian Solidarity Office. And my name is Father Gregory Semenuch, and I'm the Executive Director. I'm in my third year of service to the Curia and to our conquerors around the world. I'm very blessed with this ministry and this opportunity to share about the wonderful work that we do in collaboration with our conquerors in the developing world. In this webcast, what I'd like to do is to do the following elements. First, to recognize the important place that the poor have in our lives as those who are called to minister in the charism of St. Vincent de Paul. And from that charism, we seek to do our work. I would like to introduce this morning for you the work of the Vincentian Solidarity Office. I would also like to show how the Vincentian Solidarity Office builds capacity in the developing world. Point 3 suggests some ways that you can help the poor today. And finally, close with a prayer that captures the spirit of the third day of the poor. Let us continue. The Vincentian Solidarity Office is staffed by a number of very talented and dedicated members. First of all, on the top line, you can see my photograph there. To the right, we have Maria Jose Pacheco del Rio, who assists us with aspects of finances and reporting on projects. Gina Rossi, who is executive assistant in charge of various projects. She helps me in my various tasks of organizing the projects in our work. Also, in the Vincentian Solidarity Office, we have Jill Whitmer-Sinha, who's our grant writer, and Warren Lynch, who is our project manager. The priest right below my photograph is Father Mark Pernaitis. Now, we work very closely together. Father Mark Pernaitis leads the Vincentian International Mission Services, which helps the VSO obtain private funding for our projects. A little more about the Vincentian International Mission Services will be spoken in a very short time. And move on to the next slide. The Convention Solidarity Office Mission, Vision, and Service. The Convention Solidarity Office, the section to my left, is a mission. The mission of the BSO is to assist the congregation of the mission with obtaining funds for its evangelization and service of the poor. The office was founded by, at that time, our Superior General, Father Robert Maloney, and he had a vision of assisting our conquerors in the developing world with tasks that can be very challenging. For example, presenting a project, a large project might require various stages of development, a detailed budget, and finally funding through other sources of help, such as church funding organizations. So that's what we do. We work primarily with church funding organizations. In April of 2019, Father Mike Pernitis, who was shown in the previous slide, established another office for the Congregation of the Mission with the following mission. The mission of BIMS is to support the growth and development of the Congregation of the Mission provinces, vice provinces, regions, and missions, especially in countries where resources are few and progress is difficult. Father Mark, with the help of Regina Rossi, the executive assistant, runs various kinds of campaigns and also presents projects to potential funders in order to support the projects of the BSO. Let us move on. The title of our organization, our office, works to bring about solidarity, a sharing of responsibilities for funding projects among the different provinces of the Congregation of the Mission. So we have various provinces contributing money that we apply to projects that are able to be funded and completed. We also work with church funding agencies, both in the United States and Europe. They also receive grant applications, examine them, and send funds to the projects of our conference in the developing world. And I believe most importantly, our collaborators who we establish a relationship in solidarity are conference in the developing world, who are the provincial superiors, superiors of the international missions that do the hard work of preparing the project and then bringing about its completion and reporting. Our funding, the area to the right, we look for funds in order to support projects. We are not a funding agency, so we have to look to get the funds from outside. We use the funds that we have and create larger pools for funding for the projects. We do have one type of grant that we receive financial help from our provinces. It's called the micro project grant, which every qualifying province throughout the world or international mission can petition once a year and do a project for $5,000. The next slide. The Convention Solidarity Office has the tasks in the left-hand quadrant of this slide. And the Ascension International Mission Office does a very important work in that point number 2. So what do we do? A summary. We receive and develop projects from our confers in the developing world. Point 2. We write grant proposals to agencies and seek funds from provinces for various projects. 3. We send funds to approved projects in the developing world, and we assist with the reporting to funding partners in the completed projects. The chief task of the Ascension International Mission Services is to seek funds from individual donors. Next slide. Who is eligible for services? Now, this is a representative map of where our priests, conquerors, and brothers are found throughout the developing world. And these are the countries and continents where we're able to apply funds for various projects. Let me give you some examples now of projects that are done in the developing world by our Conf collaborators. And I'll take 3 minutes to do this briefly. First of all, this project was for a purchase of a boat with a motor for transport province of Curitiba. The visitor signed off on the project, Father Odia Miguel Gonzalez dos Santos. The parish is the good Lord Jesus of Forgiveness in Guadasaba. That's the name of the province. And the project leader that we have pictured here is Father Cristianes Natal Belchior of Ascension. This parish is quite extensive. It has 25 communities, and they are served by a priest missionary. It is important for Father to be able to visit all the communities in the course of a month. However, only 14 are accessible by vehicle, and the rest, the other 11, he needs a boat in order to get there. And so this project simply was for the purchase of a boat and a motor, gas motor, so that Father could visit, Father Cristianes Natal Belchior could visit his communities on a monthly basis. Now we find ourselves in the continent of Africa. The location is Chad. A few years ago, the Vincentians began an international mission. We see here a very young missionary from Nigeria, Father Kenneth Eze. He completed the project of expanding the Lycée Saint Jean Baptiste. It serves 4 children in the locality. It is a diocesan school, but he serves as the director. His dream was to have more students. So with these 3 classrooms shown here, the day that the classrooms were blessed, precisely 1 week ago, we have Father Kenneth blessing the classrooms, and the students are very happy to be in their classroom because prior to the construction, they simply did not have access. Some of them even studied outside. They were able to increase their student population by 30% and gain more money from the matriculation in order to pay for the students. Our next project is a project that we did in collaboration with the province of Madagascar. The provincial is Father Alexander Zefren Rafa Mendratosa. This project was led by Father Emmerich Amiot Danville, who's a missionary from France. The location is the Foyer de Kanjamoka in Volcano, Madagascar. There was a cyclone that hit Madagascar and it leveled many of the trees. There was also degradation, or rather the destruction of the environment on account of the loss of trees in that area. So they had a great idea. They were going to help reforest the area around the school. They planted several thousand trees. The trees that were going to be harvested in the future would also provide economic help to the school. The school is also very special in that it caters to young people who have various types of handicaps, limitations of sight, or hearing, and perhaps even may have had lost a limb, so they cannot walk. They receive much support and vocational training so that they can lead a happy life. And here we have the project, 3 photographs of the endeavor to plant 170,000 trees. And now these trees, you can see that in the center photograph, are quite tall, and in a number of years they can be harvested with good consequences for the environment. How do we help the poor today? Let me suggest 3 ways. First of all, we need to advocate. There are a number of initiatives, for example, before the Congress in the United States. One initiative is the Global Fragility Act to secure places for people to live to eliminate the causes of violence. There are other kinds of initiatives in their own countries. Find ways to advocate for the common good for the people today, especially the poor. Next is, we need to lead the way through prayer and action to a more just world. And for those who are able, I ask you to please donate to the Vincentian International Mission Services. They support projects that the DSO manages in the developing world. So when you donate to the Vincentian International Mission Services, you are helping converts to evangelize and serve the poor. In summary, the Vincentian Solidarity Office celebrates with all our converts in the developing world. We pray for them. We pray for the beneficiaries of their projects, for families, and pray for children who have great dreams in life. We pray for our benefactors and the funding agencies. We pray also for our donors who help put a smile on the face of the poor that we serve. The quotation that I'll read to you comes from the scriptures. It was a quote that Pope Francis selected. The hope of the poor will not perish forever. And then we have the exhortation from St. Vincent of Paul to all those who are motivated by the gospel and the Vincentian charism. And I quote, if there are among us those who think they are in a mission to evangelize the poor, but not to alleviate their sufferings, to take care of their spiritual needs, but not their temporal ones, I reply that we have to help them. We have to have them assisted in every way by us and by others. I thank those who made possible this webcast, and please join me in supporting our conference and the works of the Presenting Solidarity Office.
Ringraziamo al padre Gregory Semeni.
We thank Father Gregorius Mignou, the director of VSO, Vincent Solidarity Office, that works from the USA, that works for the Congregation of the Mission. We thank him for his sharing. Now, we turn to the Foundation of Touré. It's a small response, but it's very concrete towards the poor in the world. The Sisters of Charity have taken as the biblical text Matthew chapter 25, that I was sick, I was thirsty, I was hungry, etc. Every time you have done to any of these one, you have done to me. This is what the sisters here based their charism on, left them by their founder, Santa Giovanna Anders. Now, who benefits from this foundation of Touré? It involves all the friends of Santa Giovanna, the youth, missionaries, the schools, and all who are willing to contribute to realize this project in the various countries that sisters work. I would like now to present to you with a lot of joy Sister Maria Luisa Caluso, who is the director of this Foundation of Touré. That will give us a reflection reflecting on the same message that Pope Francis gave us last Sunday, the International Day for the Poor. Welcome, sister.
Jorge, della presentazione, grazie anche a Sor Teresa.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, sister. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for all who have organized this evening. I will not go back to what our foundation do. But I will I'll go what is the motivation of this foundation and what pushes us to do this. We take as a point of reference the message of the Holy Father, but especially the logo of the third, the logo of the International Day for the Poor always changes the phrase, but the picture is always the same now for 3 years. It's a picture that shows an open door and shows two people, maybe the two people that are holding out their hands. What's the meaning of an open door? It's a sign of communication, maybe. It's a sign of the desire to meet. Is a desire to get out and enter into some other place. And these two people, who are they? Is it a benefactor who is welcoming the poor? Or a poor man or poor person who is knocking at the door? Or a poor person who is abandoned, who is living alone and now welcoming somebody who is coming to help? Or maybe there are two poor people who are meeting. The interpretation depends on us, so let's do it together. In this picture, in this logo, there's another thing that is very important. There are two hands. There's nothing in their hands. They are not offering anything other than the hands themselves. It seems that Papa Francis made a reflection just on these hands. Because this year, Papa Francis talked about the blessing of the hands 3 times. It's the hand that carries hope. That blessed are the hands that carries hope. Blessed are the hand that goes beyond cultural barriers, religious barriers, national barriers, that carries consolation. Blessed are the hand then that is open to whoever asks without the third benediction. Blessed are the hands that is open without asking something in return, without saying if, maybe. This is the hand that goes towards the poor. 3 times. 3 times the Pope talks about blessed hands. It is these hands that becomes blessings, goes towards the brothers and sisters as the blessed of God. It's the hand itself that becomes a blessing for the brother, for the sister. Why benediction? because whoever goes towards the poor the poor always trust in the Lord, always. In fact, if we read even from the Bible, we discover that the poor is identified with somebody who has faith. A person who has nothing to lean on, nothing to attach themselves on, but somebody we know that from the Bible, having the poor are those that are actually cited in the blessings of the poor. Look at chapter 6. Matthew chapter 5. Jesus begins by talking about the blessed are the poor in spirit, because the reign of God is theirs. It confirms what Psalm number 9 tells us, that the poor have a lot of power. They are always in communion with God, and is the power of salvation. They are the power of salvation. At the time of the Psalm number 9 that the Pope took as the point of his message, like today, the poor are victims of violence, victims of injustice. They are excluded. In the message, the poor talks about a lot about the poor. We know all that, and so there are a few pictures that can always speak to us today. Immigrants, for example, children who are victims of violence, victims of separation, victims of the loneliness of the old who are poor. What the Holy Father underlines mostly is that the poor today are considered today as people to be thrown away, as are refused, and he uses the architecture, hostile architecture. It's not something we think about fast, but it asks for a lot of thinking. It wants a lot of project, a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking, a lot of planning. Therefore, to arrive at this hostile architecture, it means having thought to eliminate the poor. In front of this hostile architecture, we are called to be a project, to be an architecture of communion. Like all architectures, even this architecture of communion needs pillars. There is the pillars of welcoming, of respect, but there are other pillars that we can talk about today, especially as the pillar of of having an idea of a good and nice world. Leaning on something that can change, can be better, can be made better. A pillar that looks at a response that is concrete. The psalmist says that we have to look at the pain of the poor and take it by our hand. This invitation, it's us to do this. It's made at us. This invitation is directed at us. Therefore, it's us who are invited to be the hand of God that knows how to bring these brothers, sisters thrown out of society. And when we do this, our hand will be blessed because we meet the power of the poor, the power that saves of the poor, because the poor are blessed, because the poor help us meet the face of Jesus Christ. We are also invited to act, to be the vessel of Christ. We are invited to be the hope and to give hope. In a congruent way, this means we have to respond in a charitable way, in the various ways. We have to be attentive to the needs that emerge today. We should not be just talk about charity. We have to meet the poor. To do all this, we are also called, we are also invited to have a new vision. we have to collaborate, to work with others. We have to look who is next to us, who is working like us, who is doing the same thing that we do, and therefore we can collaborate with them or them with us. We have also to create a mentality of change, mentality of positive change. We are invited also to move and change situations of disadvantage that disadvantage others. We have to think of new projects that help social transformation, cultural transformation, and economic transformation in the places, in the countries where we work. Again, I want to repeat, we are invited to be the hand of God. Therefore, we can bring in our own hands the hands of our brothers and sisters. But also to leave our hands so that these brothers and sisters can take our hands. With our brothers and sisters of the poor, we are all invited to work together. Let's go back to this logo and let us this door opens in the horizontal way. It's like in the middle of the street. There's a way, there's a street in the middle of a park. And so, these two hands are like two people who are accompanying each other, so that together they'll arrive at the star, the true light. We are invited and called to be always together, to walk always together. Again, if you look at this logo, it's like a door that opens to a room that has two tables. The one inside holds the hand of the one inside, and together they enter into this room to listen to the same word of God and to share the same Eucharist. Because all of us are sons and daughters of the two saints, Saint Vincent de Paul and Santa Giovanna, who tell us that in the person of the poor, when we serve the poor, we are serving Jesus Christ. Therefore, the poor that the world throws out is the street that takes us to meeting Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for this reflection. Let's now walk together. Let's walk together without distinction towards salvation. Thank you. We thank Sora Luisa, the founder of, we don't know if Father Gregory is still online, because we have some questions. When I read the message of the Holy Father, especially when he begins to mention so many poor people that are in the world today. In our communication office, we have pictures that help us see the face of the poor. It comes to my mind one phrase from St. Vincent de Paul. Turn the medals, said St. Vincent de Paul. Change. The message that we have listened to from Father Gregory and Sister Luisa help us to turn the medal as invited by our founder Vincent de Paul. Hopefully what we've listened to, especially in this week of World Day of the Poor, helps us in our private ways, personal ways, change the medal, turn the medal. If there are questions now, Father Gregory and Sister Luisa are ready to respond to those questions. There's a question here in the room. That has arrived from Facebook. Not from Facebook, his personal question.
Comunque, anche se non ha parlato della fondazione, se può dirci quale dei progetti sta seguendo che più le sta.
What projects are you involved in that you are following? We do small recently we are doing small projects, construction of a second school in Bangalore. The big city of Bangalore, because it's very grand, is very big. Where we are, there are no schools. That helps the poor, and the schools there are very expensive. Therefore, our objective is to construct a school that all children of the school can always go there, because we are in a zone that is very poor. I have received even photos from there. We are very close to finishing that project of that school. The second project that we are following that we have house of welcoming in Congo, Kinshasa. In Kinshasa, Congo, we know that Congo there is war and tension, and so young people come to the city of Kinshasa for studies and live in very dangerous zones, and therefore our desire is to construct a house for these young people that are in danger but want to study. And therefore another project that we have, a small one though, like digging and constructing a borehole, or helping students to go to school, pay for them school fees. Another project that we are just starting that we are yet to start, but very soon we'll start. In Laos, a small house for orphans and the abandoned children, especially young people that are victims of what happened there in 2008. In Latin America, we have a small project of children. There are so many children on the streets, they don't have possibility of education. Our sisters help to help them towards education and sustenance and a house of welcome, house of stay for them. Thank you. A question for Father Gregory Menish. Is there any question that, any project that if there exists any project that that you have a problem finding financing, that you need help? Second question is for the Gregorius, if how can we as the communication office help you in your work with as the office of VSO? Is there a way we can collaborate? Your office of Vincentian Solidarity Office and our office of communication at the Korea. How can we collaborate?
Ok. Teníamos dos preguntas para ti en este momento aquí en la sede. Una de ellas es si hay algún proyecto en especial
For the Gregor, the first question was, do you have any project that you're following at the moment, but you have a difficulty in financing it?
In English, Father. For us,
Father, please put off your website, please. The website of your congregation, if you can put it off.
what off? I don't understand. Let me answer the question. There is a very important project from the congregation, which is the seminary capacity initiative. firefighter.
Greg. Ok, te escuchamos.
Let me answer the question. There is a very important initiative on the part of the Superior General, the global congregation of the mission, to increase capacities in the seminaries. It requires three things. One, the plan for construction. And presently, we have close to $3 million of construction projects that have to do with seminary capacity. It is very hard work to find $4 million, but we are trying. Second would be to provide the education for the formators, because you need strong, capable formators to prepare the next generation of Vincentians. And third would be to manage all these projects in a way that we are not spending excessive amount of money or taking excessive amount of time. So those would be important challenges. The challenge for funding a project to benefit the poor directly concerns construction of a hostel in Nigeria. We have the ground floor, now we want to build the first floor and the roof. The beneficiaries of that project will be 100 additional students. Some funding agencies don't want to work in Nigeria because of the problems associated with construction work. And I go into detail with that. And second is that we prefer the children in their families' homes. It's a hard project because there is no alternative for the children. So some of our funders have backed out. But we hope, with the help of the Vincentian International Mission Services, to fund that project as soon as possible and to have 100 extra students, additional students, living and being educated in our school in Africa, Nigeria. So those are two things that come to mind: the importance of the seminary capacity project and its immensity for funding, and to fund this particular project to benefit children who have deficiencies in hearing or who are deaf.
La segunda pregunta, no sé si ya la habías escuchado.
Sí.
Ok.
How can we collaborate? I think this is a very good initiative which will allow us to get access to more collaborators and perhaps even funders. And then I think we could think about the possibility of what we can do to train our confreres to do project development, project management, and also reporting. This vehicle, video conferencing, can be accessed in certain places where there's broad bandwidth that our confreres can see and learn from the BSO and from others how to design projects that are sustainable and projects that benefit the poor.
Bene, allora ringraziamo.
We thank all there were a few problems here and there during our transmission. We are in the process of learning. We thank so much Father Gregorio for the sharing that together with Sister Maria Luisa. We thank all the sisters who have come, sisters of charity that have come to follow us in this general house. We thank you for your hospitality, for coming to do this service. We hope to collaborate together again. Next time we have a collaboration. Thank you. God bless.
Almeno 50 persone ci sono stati nelle tre lingue e più o meno più di 50 persone. Però dopo in YouTube ci sarà anche, allora.
Oh, you're going to put a YouTube to
Ok,
Very good work.
grazie.
Thank you, Father. Grazie.
Muchas gracias.
Okay.
Bueno,
Saludos.
que estés bien.
Nos vemos.
Grazie, suore.
Grazie, suore.